Stephen A. Smith, you should be ashamed of yourself. This was a premeditated attack against Bills Mafia right before the last lull at the start of this regular season. Man, I cannot believe stirring up Bills Mafia, talking about a previously settled story with Stefon Diggs wanting to leave Buffalo, trying to divide our fan base right before the start of this season. Are you kidding me right now? But I want to talk about it. Welcome to my channel, Bills News Consolidated. I want to talk about all the fallacies going on right now within Bills Mafia and this Buffalo Bills team. And to start the drama with Stefon Diggs wanting to leave Buffalo and Stephen A. Smith. Now, Stephen A. Smith, he's a degenerate genius freaking marketer, okay? And he brings up some validity behind Stefon Diggs, right? Stefon Diggs voicing his concern about his window of opportunity, the Buffalo Bills' overall window of opportunity to win a Super Bowl, right? And just wanting to win now and also wanting to be used, right? So there is some validity behind Stefon Diggs and his frustrations. But the thing and fact of the matter is, even Stefon Diggs coming out, he doesn't want to leave Buffalo. He believes in Josh Allen. He wants to be here in Buffalo. So Stephen A. Smith's sources are completely incorrect. And really, he's bringing up a story that's already been settled. So I don't know if his producers didn't do the homework or research, but this is what an outside perspective can do. When you're not living at training camp, when you're not listening to coaches' interviews, players' interviews on a daily freaking basis, Stephen A. Smith gets some snippet from his producer and he spits it out on his television show to, one, get views, to rile up a fan base after a loss specifically. You know a fan base is going to be chatting and bickering after a loss. Stephen A. Smith, this was premeditated by Stephen A. Smith and his crew to try to stir up Bills Mafia. So he's winning. Bills Mafia is dropping his name, talking about Stephen A. Smith and all these things. But there are other Buffalo Bills sources and national media complaining and pointing at the Buffalo Bills middle linebacker position here. The first year that Sean McDermott is going to be calling plays for this defense. Some saying that McDermott is on the hot seat. Are you kidding me right now? But I've been watching the game film and I've watched the Steelers game 4 times now, specifically looking at all the linebackers that played in that game. Between Tyrell Dodson, AJ Klein, Dorian Williams, even Matt Milano, Trayvon Howard, and Balin Spector got into the game late. Some are saying, oh, well, Tyrell Dodson, he played into the fourth quarter. He played the first series of the fourth quarter, and that was it. Trayvon Howard and Dorian Williams took over after that point, and literally he played like 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. There was a fumble, the Bills recovered, and it was just, he wasn't out there very long into the fourth quarter at all. And keep in mind, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, they played in the third quarter, right? So they were out there for an awfully long time for Bills Mafia. And I really think Tyrell Dodson, AJ Klein, Dorian Williams, right, Balin Spector, really all in competition with that middle linebacker spot. I think we can narrow it down a little bit further. Terrell Bernard hasn't seen the field. He's never started a defensive game for the Buffalo Bills. AJ Klein started for Sean McDermott's defense before, right? Tyrell Dodson last year filling in for Tremaine Edmonds when he was out, started on defense during the regular season. We have that experience. We have that trust. So going into this season, has AJ Klein shown enough to jump ahead of Tyrell Dodson? Has Tyrell Dodson done enough to jump ahead of AJ Klein? And to me, really, I think that is the problem, right? It's not that they're playing horribly or they're not good enough for the Bills to win games this year. It's just none of them have really separated above the next, right? Tyrell Dodson is playing just as good as AJ Klein, and AJ Klein is playing just as good as Tyrell Dodson. And I don't see a lot of fundamental mistakes from the game film study reviews that I've been doing here. There aren't a lot of mistakes. The problem is they're not making enough game-changing plays, right? We need to have an impact. It's about your overall impact on this defense, on a defense you're surrounded by talent with. Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, this revamped defensive line, allowing the linebackers to fly around and make plays. You have Matt Milano next to you. So I really think these linebackers really need to step up. And the other concern that I have with Dorian Williams is his lack of overall size. And I'm starting to see exactly why we don't have Dorian Williams at that middle linebacker, interior linebacker spot. And it's not that initial contact. I think Dorian Williams does a good job with initiating contact, with holding his own against these 300-pound linebackers, or offensive linemen. But as soon as these 300-pound offensive linemen get their hands on Dorian Williams, there are times and clips that they just squash him and throw him out of the house, man. And you could just see his overall lack of size. I don't see that happening to Dotson. I don't see that happening to A.J. Klein. We're talking about protecting our high draft pick. I think it's wise to put Dorian Williams in that type of situation. And I know Greg Cassell just came out and said, I think later in the season, Dorian Williams is going to be starting at middle linebacker. I just don't see it. We should have made that move already. We should have given Dorian Williams time to get reps during the preseason at middle linebacker. Even Balin Spector. It's interesting hearing Sean McDermott say, and I noticed this from playing sports, some kids and players, they practice a lot better than how they play. For whatever reason that is, if it's nerves, whatever it is, they're better practice players than players. Right? So Balin Spector not getting his opportunity at middle linebacker necessarily. Can't really see him there. So, I'm kind of surprised at that too as well. But between Tyrel Dotson and A.J. Klein, to me, I think I still have Dotson ahead of A.J. Klein. A.J. Klein, he's a little bit older. He's clearly a little bit slower. I don't know how well he is in pass coverage compared to Dotson. I think they're kind of the same, to be honest, at this point of their careers. I think Dotson is still slightly ahead of A.J. Klein, but really the overall problem here with Dotson is that he should be way ahead. He should, being here since 2020, he's younger, he's more athletic, right? He's been working so hard. And I think he should be way ahead of A.J. Klein. I think that's Sean McDermott's concern right now, is the fact that he's not playing to a high standard level, especially being surrounded by this much talent, probably the best defensive talent that we've had in the McDermott era. He should be playing absolutely lights out. So I think the fallacies behind Stefon Diggs, the fallacies behind this middle linebacker position, as well as a slight fallacy with Spencer Brown. I think Spencer Brown is doing a lot better than what he did last year, and that is all he has to do, is do better than last year. Last year was disastrous, and I think Spencer Brown holding his own against Watt, against Hayward, against that heavy pass rush of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, geez, I think he's doing some big-time things. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tomorrow I am going to be releasing every single defensive snap for all these linebackers, so we can clearly see who's making mistakes, is one separating themselves, and you'll clearly see what I'm talking about. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.